As Arsenal's Boxing Day return looms, the Gunners have been busy, and today we'll find out the details of their latest game behind closed doors. We'll also get a transfer update from Mikel Arteta as he looks for his perfect signing in midfield. We'll find out which striker has been offered to the Gunners, and if Gabriel Martinelli is close to signing a new contract. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14 and welcome back to your boys channel. Just days before Arsenal make their return, the excitement is building, so if you enjoy the content as always, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 150,000 subscribers. We're starting off with the return of the Arsenal star boys. That is right, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli were back in action for Arsenal as they played a behind closed doors friendly against Luton Town, involved in an Arsenal lineup which saw Ramsdale in goal and a back four of Ben White, Rob Holding, Gabriel and Cedric at left back, a midfield of Partey, Xhaka and Odegaard, and a front three of Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Eddie Nketiah. But the overall result was 0-0, and it was said to be a pretty eventless encounter where in the second half the best chance fell to Granit Xhaka, with Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka causing issues but nothing too much. It is a bit of a concern, but at the same time, with no match footage, we can't make any sweeping judgments. And in terms of the team that started, apart from Rob Holding and Cedric Suarez, a majority of those players are definitely going to start against West Ham. But in terms of the Arsenal players missing, according to reports, both Tierney and Tomiyasu were being rested, with Alexander Zinchenko still out with a slight calf injury. But there was also no sign of William Saliba, who of course was at the World Cup final with France. But in terms of his Arsenal return, Mikel Arteta confirms that Saliba will arrive back at Arsenal tomorrow. Now, with that being just days before the game against West Ham, and with Saliba having only played around 30 minutes of competitive football in the past month, he's definitely going to be fit and most likely available, but it's down to Mikel Arteta if he believes he's going to be match sharp to start against West Ham. But there was also no sign of Reiss Nelson, who of course was taken off against Juventus with a hamstring issue, and Mikel Arteta has confirmed that Reiss Nelson will now be out for a few weeks. He's out of contract at the end of the season, and Nelson has already made it very clear he wants a new deal. But this seems to be his biggest issue thus far as an Arsenal player, his fitness and his availability. But talking about availability, what about Emile Smith Rowe? Well, Mikel Arteta says Smith Rowe is close to making his Arsenal return, but as confirmed by James Bench, the Boxing Day clash with West Ham is likely to come too soon for Emile Smith Rowe. There is no setbacks or anything similar. Arsenal and the player are just taking the time to make sure he's 100% fit and ready for his return. With Arsenal having the likes of Martin Odegaard and Fabio Vieira, it affords us a luxury that we can slowly reintegrate Smith Rowe into the Arsenal team without the pressure of him starting straight away, because we have so many players in that position. But with the return of ESR, there have been some reports and rumours that in the absence of Gabriel Jesus, Mikel Arteta may use ESR as a false nine, and he has played there before in the infamous game against Villarreal all those years ago. But back then neither Arsenal or the player were ready. This time round, with the Arsenal team evolving and the dynamics being so different, comment down below your thoughts on Emile Smith Rowe being used as a potential false nine when he returns to the Arsenal first team. Moving on to a Mikel Arteta exclusive, as the Arsenal boss has spoken to Sky Sports' Jamie Carragher, and he's given a very intriguing interview. As Mikel Arteta says, I remember that Pep Guardiola made the first call to say, I might be coming to England, would you become my assistant? But at the time he was still playing and it was too early. But Mikel says, it gave me another motivation to understand that whenever I decided to stop playing, I wanted to start coaching. Isn't it just crazy that one of the greatest managers of all time, Pep Guardiola, who's achieved so much in football, won Champions Leagues, won Premier Leagues, was calling up a Mikel Arteta that was still playing at the time, asking for advice about certain games and saying that if he was to retire, he wants him as his right-hand man straight away. It just shows straight away that one of the all-time greats saw potential straight away, and that he knew that Mikel Arteta had the coaching capacity to work alongside him. And things like this give me even more excitement as an Arsenal fan to say, what do we have in the future, and how is this squad going to evolve under Mikel Arteta, who clearly seems to be a coach that is so highly rated. In the same interview, Mikel Arteta also speaks about the evolution of Granit Xhaka, as he's become a very effective box-to-box player, and as the stats show, 3 goals and 3 assists, averaging a 0.46 goal involvement per 90, and a massive jump up in touches in opposition box, shots per 90 and even chances created. Mikel Arteta speaks about the need of Xhaka evolving and how he spoke to Granit and set him a challenge, and Xhaka took upon that challenge. He came back lighter than ever, understanding the importance of being lighter and being more agile in the final third, and he has surprised so many Arsenal fans with his ability to attack the final third third and be so effective in that area. In this interview, Mikel Arteta makes no secret about the fact that this Arsenal team needs those two attack-minded number 8s, and that's why Arsenal have signed Fabio Vieira, why Arsenal do have Emile Smith Rowe. We might have Martin Odegaard, but the ideal plan for Mikel Arteta is to have two proper goal-scoring threats playing in front of Thomas Partey. That is why Arsenal have been linked with the likes of Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and as great as Xhaka has been this season, with him now being 30 years of age, there's a reason why Arsenal are looking for a brand new attack-minded midfielder, and that's where enter the scene Enzo Fernandez of Argentina and Benfica, who was the first South American player to be named the FIFA Young Player of the tournament for this year's World Cup, notching up 118 touches and 77 successful passes as he made 10 tackles, the most of any player in a World Cup final since Gennaro Gattuso in 2006. This World Cup, Enzo was one of the standout midfielders, and even for Benfica in the Champions League, having signed for 18 million euros in the summer, he has been different gravy, averaging around 90 passes per game in the Portuguese league. He has played a lot of games on the left side of midfield, a bit similar to Granit Xhaka, and his goal output isn't amazing, but in terms of controlling games, Enzo Fernandez comes into his own, and that Thiago Gundogan type of profile that would help Arsenal exert even more control over games. At just 21 years of age, the potential of Enzo Fernandez is crazy, and likewise is the demand. But Fabrizio Romano confirming that Premier League and La Liga clubs, many of them have fallen in love with Enzo Fernandez. He has a 120 million euro release clause in his contract, so it's not going to be an easy one for any club. Benfica will try to keep him at least until the end of the season. The likes of Liverpool, Manchester United and a host of top Premier League clubs want to sign Enzo Fernandez. And then you think about Arsenal and the profile that they are looking for. Enzo Fernandez ticks so many different boxes, which could make him the perfect signing for Mikel Arteta in midfield. But talking about Argentina stars and moving into the Premier League, let's talk Brighton's Alexis Mac Allister. As according to reports in Spain, Arsenal have shown interest in the Brighton and Hove Albion midfielder Alexis Mac Allister, with the report claiming undoubtedly Mac Allister's World Cup will sooner or later open doors to the best European teams. Alexis Mac Allister was on fire at the World Cup, even getting an assist in the final, but he's also been so good and underrated for Brighton in the Premier League. Being only 23 years of age, he's been converted from an attack-minded midfielder into more of a box-to-box. And this year for Brighton in the Premier League, he's averaging around 60 passes per game. When you then have Arsenal's Granit Xhaka averaging around 37 passes per game, having also scored 5 goals, being very press resistant and a very hard worker as well, having that Premier League experience and showing that he's able to thrive for Brighton and exert control over games, the potential of a Mac Allister in a midfield three under Mikel Arteta could be fantastic. But let's not forget that Brighton are a hard team to negotiate with, as Arsenal fans saw with the transfer of Ben White back in 2021. Their owner Tony Bloom is a stern negotiator, but having thrived at the World Cup for Argentina, do you believe he's a player that Arsenal should be signing? Moving on to centre forwards, reported Arsenal target Matheus Cunha is set to join Wolves, but as confirmed by Nazar Kinsella, he had been offered to both Chelsea and Arsenal, but there was no major interest in hijacking their move. Now, the price tag the Wolves are paying is around 40 million euros straight to Atletico Madrid, and Cunha has not had a prolific goal scoring season by any means whatsoever. And in the absence of Gabriel Jesus, it was a bit tempting, but at the same time Arsenal did not believe he was worth that sort of money, and I tend to agree as well. But keeping it on the centre forwards, let's talk Dusan Vlahovic, as according to the Times, Arsenal are also keeping an eye on Dusan Vlahovic's situation, given the political and financial turmoil at Juventus. The 22-year-old is open to a move away from Turin, either in January or next summer. Now, despite Juve being out of form, Vlahovic is still banged in 7 goals in 15 appearances. This guy is lethal in front of goal, and when you give him chances, his super clean ball striking and his eye for a goal means that he will score a lot of goals. But he's not quite as fluid as a Gabriel Jesus, who's able to interchange at wide and rotate with Gabriel Martinelli. Vlahovic is a lot more of an old school number 9, that 6'3" profile. Jesus has been outstanding for Arsenal, but there are still a few Arsenal fans that admit they want another profile alongside Jesus that is a bit more of an alternative and is a bit more clinical, and that would certainly be Dusan Vlahovic. With the amount of chances that Arsenal creates and Vlahovic's finishing ability, it could be a match made in heaven, but at the same time, he is a player that chose Juventus over Arsenal back in 2022. I think he realises he made a mistake not joining Arsenal, but are Arsenal as a club, Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal squad, willing to accept a player that was not previously entirely convinced by the project? Keeping it on the forwards, according to reports in Spain, FC Barcelona have told La Liga that they will sell an unknown player for about 50 to 55 million euros next summer. Now, there are some rumours that player could be Ferran Torres, and with Arsenal looking for that versatile forward that's able to play as a wide forward and a centre forward, there are some whispers behind the scenes that Arsenal might make a move for the former Man City player. But in terms of wide forwards, the main target is definitely Mykhaylo Mudryk, and as Fabrizio Romano says, Mudryk would love to join Arsenal, but it's now up to the clubs. We will see in the next days and weeks. This has become common knowledge. Mudryk wants Arsenal, Arsenal want Mudryk, but can Arsenal afford Mudryk is a different question. But as Ben Jacobs says, Arsenal have made their move on Mudryk in the sense that they are now in talks with both Shakhtar and Mudryk's representatives. The talks on Mudryk's reps are easy because Mudryk wants Arsenal. The negotiations with Shakhtar are a whole lot harder, and that is because Shakhtar are asking for a crazy price tag which they say is up to 100 million euros. Arsenal are not going to pay that. We're talking closer to probably 50 to 60. But the fact that we do have confirmed reports of Arsenal opening negotiations with Shakhtar, it looks like this transfer is picking up pace and taking steps in the right direction. Moving on to the other Arsenal news today, and starting off with Arsenal's only defeat so far this season against Manchester United at Old Trafford, where Arsenal scored a goal in the first half which was disallowed due to a foul by Martin Odegaard. But sources have since told ESPN that Arsenal's disallowed goal against Manchester United was a wrong decision from VAR. It was a fantastic sweeping counter-attack by Gabriel Martinelli, and even at the time I believed Arsenal were robbed, but seeing these reports now really means nothing because the game's not going to change. So yes, it's a bit annoying, but at the same time I think it's best that we just keep it moving. Moving on to an outgoing transfer, as according to Graham Bailey, Fulham are close to agreeing a deal to sign Cedric Soares from Arsenal on a permanent deal. Now Cedric is a player that has become our third choice right back behind both Ben White and Takehiro Tomiyasu, so it looks like he's going to leave, and once he does, Arsenal will have no more remaining clients of Kia Jarabchin at the club, who is of course a super agent that bought the likes of David Luiz, Cedric Soares and Willian, and a relationship that has been heavily criticised by so many Arsenal fans. It looks like Arsenal are moving in a different direction. Talking of fullbacks, here's one that Arsenal could have signed in Lisandro Martinez, but as Erik ten Hag says, Martinez told him that he wanted to leave Ajax, and if Man United hadn't signed him, he would have gone to Arsenal. Ten Hag says that Licha called me at one point saying, "Trainer, listen, I'm leaving Ajax. I can sign with Arsenal, but if you want me, I am going to Manchester United." Now Arsenal instead signed Alexander Zinchenko, but the prospect of Lisandro Martinez on the Mikel Arteta as the inverted left back, seeing how he's thrived for Manchester United, I won't lie, it would have been a tasty proposition, because Zinchenko is definitely better in terms of on-ball ability, but if we're talking fitness and availability, but Martinez at the Emirates Stadium on the Mikel Arteta with his availability would have been something that could have been special. Moving on to a graphic which showcases the minutes played of each club at this year's World Cup, and as you guys can see, Arsenal are 6th highest, the lowest out of the big six. It's an advantage which would also be a bit of a disadvantage. Of course, by your players not playing as many minutes, they'll be more rested and recuperated, but those players like Martin Odegaard, Ben White, Ramsdale, Saliba are also going to lack that match sharpness, with the games that Arsenal have coming up of West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Spurs away, and you've also got Brighton away. How match up are the Arsenal players that weren't at the World Cup going to be? Moving on to the future of Gabriel Martinelli, as Sammy Mockbell confirms, Arsenal are close to agreeing a new contract with Gabriel Martinelli that will see him become one of the top earners at the club. Sources have indicated that Martinelli's new terms will be worth in the region of £200,000 per week. Now this is not a surprise because Martinelli himself has confirmed in the past that he wants to sign the contract, even saying, "Give me the pen, I will sign it right now." The thing that stands out is the £200,000 a week. For some Arsenal fans, it's going to be a bit too much, but at the same time, looking into the profile of Martinelli and his potential, if Arsenal aren't going to pay that sort of money, another club certainly is. You look at how far he's come in the past year under the coaching of Mikel Arteta. There is a superstar in the making, and Arsenal need to ensure his future is at the Emirates Stadium. But comment down below if you believe £200,000 a week is justified for Gabriel Martinelli. But that is the video there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was all of today's latest Arsenal news, and the return is getting closer and closer. West Ham at the Emirates Stadium. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be interesting, and I will see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves, and in a bit.